Hey beauties, morning to you. Beautiful people, I want you to listen to me and listen to me keenly. Do not just request prayer from people all on sundry. There are people out there who do not like you. And I'm not talking about people who don't like maybe a negative behavior or attitude that you may have. There's a difference. And I'm not talking about people who will disagree with maybe ideas, hypotheses, or hypotheses or theories, or even facts that you will present from time to time. We will not always agree. The best of couples, the best of husband and wife couple, will not always agree. The best of friends will not always agree. The best of family members will not always agree. The best of associates, business partners will not always agree. And that's fine. That's life. God made us different. If people don't even accept everything from the Bible, how will they accept everything from you? There's a difference. I'm talking about people who categorically within themselves, out of envy, out of hate, bitterness, resentment, jealousy, in a malicious, malignant way, do not like you. And you go to them and you just ask for prayer. Beautiful people, you're almost calling down additional challenges on yourselves that are not necessary. Let me give you an incident that happened to me some years ago. I never forgot. And I wasn't even I loved God, but when you're not as spiritual as a youngster, not because I was so young, it's just lack of understanding, but I always had a desire. My prayer from I was very, very young, Lord, just let me serve you in spirit and in truth. That would be my prayer to him. Let me be genuine before you. And always, Lord, have my back. Always give me the gift of discernment. So I never forgot a lady who, Christian lady. And don't know her well, but when she came to our house for some sort of a prayer meeting or whatever it was, and when she was leaving, she gave me a hug. Like I shared a story or whatever with everyone, and she gave me a hug. People following there. When Jamaicans say it's like "Lope de payo," I have a way of saying that to people. I kid you not, I felt an uneasy feeling on me. There was something that was not right. And back in those days, I never believed in those things. Like, I used to, when people talk about Obi and necromancy and all those things, I never really believed in it. It was until I heard John Hagee gave a story about a woman who she used to play a lot with the Ouija board, and she felt like a demon took hold of her. And when she was in her right mind, sometimes she really realized something is off because of what it may be causing her to do. And she contacted him, and he went to her beautiful home, he said, and she started to relay the situation. And while they were speaking, like she was saying to him, listen, the thing is coming. Whatever she heard her front door opening, the thing is walking, and it walked and it went inside of her. And I remember John Hagee said, no matter how you have double joints, there's no way you can bend up like that. No way. And her face turned into a snake. And I know he's a very credible man. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he needed to lie on that. There was no need for him. If you know John Hagee is a man who not afraid to hit out against the clergy people, religious people, Christian people, anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. He's not afraid. He just reminds me of me. He's just authentic. And when I heard him, that is when I started to believe in these things. I knew that there was a devil and the demons, but some things I never really accepted. And when that woman did fall in morning, I felt it. I said, no, man, you don't care where you go, you feel this. I just like when some evil spirit is around you, you feel an uneasy feeling. Something is off. You feel a heaviness. You don't feel right. And I said to myself, I put down a piece of prayer. I said, God, whatever demon or spirit that's a woman you left for me, get it off. Get it. I prayed. Eventually it moved. Because I said, absolutely not. Just a hug. You have to be very careful. So you can imagine you're requesting somebody to pray for you. God is not listening to that prayer because he knows a person's heart. Remember, once you start praying, God already searches your heart and knows it, what place you're coming from. So, when I'm praying, I tell God the truth about how I feel. I'm not even going to pretend because I know he knows. And so if God is not listening to the words that are hurled out into the atmosphere, there's some another being that is listening, the devil and his demons. So I guess the devil will say, all right, let me come and fuel this fire. I know that this person is not sincere. I know that this person is not true. You remember the seven sons of Sceva, when it said Jesus I know and Paul I know, but who you are, and the demons then beat up the pretentious Christians, give them a thrashing, and yes, my beauties, and outside, and I said to myself, I prayed about that. Sorry, beauties, I got a little bit distracted in my mind a while ago. Sorry. So, right. So, can you imagine now you are asking somebody that the devil knows is not true and sincere, because he knows them when they're not true and sincere, and you're asking them to pray for you. So he just carries his words and try to make them come to fruition. You know, the only time it not really come to fruition, really, unless God says it's not going to. Especially if you're a true disciple. Unless God says, I'm just going to crush the words. If I don't decree it, it won't happen. That's the only way. God gave me the discernment. And it didn't mean that I didn't have discernment back in the day. You pray for discernment, God comes, he gives you the discernment in different ways. I'm glad that he did that with a woman, in a sense. Not to say I felt good about that feeling, but had that not happened to me, I would not have believed some things. I would not have understood certain things. Right? Me say people is like dopey, me sort of a feeling back in those days, and I had to put on a piece of prayer because me say, what? This now stay for me? And I never understood, the whole spiritual realm. I just felt something off. I may say, it'll get off from me. Do not request, because there are people who don't like you. You have to ask God for the gift of discernment, because God is not going to be carrying their words and putting it into fruition. It's the demons and the devil, and put it into fruition, and some of you will not be spared. And you wonder why your relationships go awry, your marriage get destroyed, and all kinds of mayhem and crosses and trials and tribulations unnecessarily are happening in your life, because you sometimes, not in all cases, you ask the wrong people to pray for you. You ask the wrong people to pray for you. Don't just request prayer like that. It better sometimes you go online with some of these international or whether local people that you may not know, and they said any prayer request they don't know you personally, just send in, pray for me for this. It probably better you take a chance like that. Although you don't even know if some of them true and sincere. But don't just send in and start to tell people your business. People are not nice, whether they're in church or not. They're not necessarily nice. I can tell you from experiences that I've had. They look good. Sometimes they don't even look good. All they do, they're just in the building most Sundays. They've broken themselves into that habit, but their hearts are whitewashed sepulchres. They're graves. Evil and wicked. Let God guide you to ask people to pray for you. Don't just get up and just that person claims that they're a Christian, and you run and you ask that person to pray for you. Some of the demise that you're going through, you probably would not have gone through. There are people who the enemy uses to create and wreak havoc in your lives. Stop doing it. Learn to pray for yourself. Learn to pray for others if you're sincere yourselves. And it is not similar to when the Bible says pray for your enemies. Now, there are people who have done me great wrong in life. And I don't tell you that I have a bubbly feeling towards them. I'm not necessarily fond of their ways. I detest their bad ways, not the person. I've had to learn to separate that. That God forbid, if something should happen, I can, out of a clear conscience, assist them once I'm able to. Right? And let me tell you something, beautiful people. When you pray for your enemies, it nullifies you becoming a hateful, revengeful kind of individual, because your heart is set on Jesus and you're praying for the person. You may not necessarily mean it and feel it right away, but you're not necessarily coming from a place of dislike and hate. We're talking about people who hate you without a cause, like a Saul with David, like Joseph and his brothers situation. Don't just get up and request prayer like that from people. Learn to pray for yourself. Start there first and foremost. Pray for others. Make sure you're sincere before God. Tell him the truth. If you know when you're praying and your motive is not right, say, God, my motive not right. Help me. Help my motive to be right. I don't play, because I know that he already knows. So I'm only tricking myself. I'm not tricking God. I'm only tricking myself. You understand? I'm only tricking myself, not God. So I tell him everything because I want him to work on me for me to be a better human being. So don't be afraid to air your truths up to God, because he already knows. So don't just request prayer from people. All right, be careful. A word to the wise is sufficient. Follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share.